Hi all, it's PJ and welcome to Bernina Quick Tips. This tip is on what I'm calling utility serger crochet. In this case, we're just using this to enlarge this piece so that when we sew this into the seam, it's not as thick as the batting, so there will just be thread. I'm demoing this on the 7-inch batting circle because this is going to be the one that's a little bit more difficult because it's smaller. The process is the same for the Inselbright piece. I'm set up for the first round for just a standard 4-thread overlock. In this case, I have put black thread in my left needle and pink thread in my right needle, so hopefully it will be easier for you to see what's happening. All my tensions are just standard at the 4. You can stop with your needle up or down. Honestly, for this, it doesn't make any difference. I have changed my presser foot pressure to 2. It will make it a little easier to turn that curve. I have my standard clear foot on, and I have a stitch length of 4. I'm going to adjust the camera here a little bit and try to get in a bit tighter on what I'll actually be stitching. I'm going to wiggle my flywheel to release the stitches off of the stitch finger so that when I start stitching, I will be able to come in here without caving in my batting piece. I have my seam guide on, but I'm also paying attention to where my knife would be if it were in fact, oh, sorry, I should mention I'm at a 7.5 stitch width also. For this, you're going to kind of have to watch both of these areas where your knife would be cutting if it were actually engaged or on, and also this, and you'll see why here when I start sewing. For this to sew this curve, you're really going to have to manage your goods. So I'm just going to put my foot down and I'm going to sew very, very slowly, and you will see. If you need to pick up your presser foot to pivot, by all means do that. If that is the case, you're going to want to actually use your needle up because you can't pivot with 2 needles down. If you get the hang of this and learn to manage your materials, you should be able to gently go around here just very slowly using your hands to help you pivot and not have to actually stop and start. I'll show you both ways. So I have my hands spread out and I'm using my fingers up here to help manage this coming off the back end of my presser foot. With my right hand, I'm going to gently pull this way to move this edge parallel to my knife. So I'm just going very slowly, and again, I'm paying attention to where my edge is, where my knife would be stitching if it were stitching, and then this edge should be hitting your guide. And the back of this, I'm just kind of gently guiding off. That will also help it keep flat in subsequent rounds. And you can see I'm only going a little bit at a time. Your goal here is that this should all be laying perfectly flat. It shouldn't be ruffled at all. If you do need to lift up your foot to pivot, just stop and gently move this around. And strangely, I find either use your freehand system, which will help, or just keep one hand behind to lift this up and pivot it around. When you get good at this, after a little bit of practice, you can just gently pull this around like this. This would be your goal. Even on a 7-inch circle, you should be able to manage this. When you get back to here, you can just trim your tail. And then we're going to get set up for the second round. I'm going to come back around here to where I started. So now I'm back to where I started. Here I'm going to start angling out My goal will be now for the second round, I want my right needle to just hit the edge of the circle here. So my left needle is going to be almost on top of where my pink stitching is now. For the second round, we're going to widen our stitch out to 9, which will give us a little bit more to catch for the third round. It will make sense here in a second. So now I'm just going to start angling off, and I'm aiming to get my right needle right there, just falling off the edge, and my left needle is going to catch the fabric. And you can, well, here, let me get a little bit farther around. And again, I'm still managing all of this, bringing it around. As this gets larger, it will be a little bit easier. And I'm hoping that you can see here, see all of these loops hanging off the edge? That's actually the Serger Crochet. So you're just going to keep going around and around until you get back to where this veered off the first time. So this is round 2. Oops. And if you get a little off, as long as your left needle catches this, you're okay. And on this, if it's not pretty, it's fine because all of this is going to be inside. This is why I'm calling this utility Serger Crochet. So again, we're getting back to where we started. So now, as I'm getting back to here, you can see where that angled off. For round 3, I need to make some further adjustments. I'm going to move this out just a little bit. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to change the tension on my left and right needles here to 2.5. So you can just drag this down to 2.5, or honestly, sometimes to me it's easier just to use the buttons over here on the side. So I'm taking that to 2.5 and then also this one to 2.5. So those are going to be at 2.5. For this, your loopers are going to stay the same and your width is going to stay the same. Your presser foot pressure is also still the same. It's at 2. I can close this now, and then I can move back. So now I'm just going to angle off here, and now my goal is to catch the loops. So I'm just angling off. And again, you just have to manage your goods. At the least, you want your left needle to catch your loops. For this, to make it nice and sturdy, if both of your needles catch, that's perfectly fine. And again, just kind of manage this back end, because really you're only sewing on thread now. You can see here, I've got kind of loopy needle threads, but actually that's fine. Your goal here is that this needs to remain flat. This is going to be inside, so if it's not the prettiest thing in the land, it will be fine. Just keep going around and around. And you'll do that for all the subsequent rows until you get this to be the size that it needs to be. That's it for this quick tip. We'll see you next time. Thanks. If you'd like to follow along, this project is available for purchase at the Montevilla Sewing Center's Teachable site. The project includes the full video, written instructions, and more. You can purchase the projects by the month or join the club and save. To join the club, contact the main store. If you'd like to view the video preview for this project, Go to my YouTube channel, A PJ Project, go to the playlist, choose the BabyLock Bernina Serger Club, and then choose the project.